President Trump's very public search for Powell's replacement, good or bad for the markets? Joining me live right now in studio is someone whose name has been floated as a candidate to replace Powell. He's BlackRock Global Fixed Income CIO and Global Allocation Team Head, Rick Rieder. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. But Rick, get right to it.
Okay.
What is Powell going to say if you had to guess?
So my guess is he's going to talk about balance. He's going to talk about they're well positioned. When you read the minutes, you talk about they're still concerned about you have some elevated inflation. I don't think it's that scary a number. You're still running inflation. So core PCE the last 3 months, you're on about 2.8. But I think they're going to talk about elevated inflation. They're a good place today to move. Listen, I think ultimately they're going to cut in September. I think they can cut further. I think they can cut faster. But I think he's going to talk about balance. The economy's in a good position, and that they're well placed to do it. I mean, personally, I think they can go faster, but...
Let's say, you mean 50 basis points, which is what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, you'd call for that?
So I think they can go 50 basis points. I think the environment, you look at the labor data of the last, what was just revised. By the way, the Fed minutes that came out were before those labor numbers came out. The 3 months, you've had a moving average of hiring 34,000 jobs per month. If you take out healthcare, which is not interest rate sensitive, not cyclical, that's 67,000 of the 34,000. Meaning you're really having negative job growth. You have the risk of stall speed for employment. So I think they could go 50. One thing I would say, I said, people think about, where are we in terms of rate of change of interest rates? I just think the price is wrong. We look at markets where things priced. If you take where the funds rate is today, take 5-year inflation break-evens, it's 2.5%. It's actually under that. It's 2.42. If you get the funds rate down 100 basis points, you're still well above that. We just don't need to be sitting at 4 3/8 today. Could you go 50? By the way, people think it's panic. You just announce it. It's the wrong price. We need to move it to a closer to the right price.
Fed funds minutes, the Fed minutes from the most recent meeting, which was in July, did come out, as you just referenced. Here's what, and remember, this is the meeting that had 2 dissenters. First time in decades where we have seen that, where 2 of the voting members said, we think we should be cutting rates. Almost all participants at that July 29th to 30th meeting viewed it as appropriate to maintain the benchmark interest at 4.25% to 4.5%. They saw near-term inflation rising. They said that's likely. Do you?
So I think it depends on your time frame.